You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced and get happy with Dr. Marissa. And this show is about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have shows and topics.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days.
Monday, Tuesday,
Happy days.
Wednesday, Thursday,
Happy days.
Friday, whatever.
Happy days.
What a day.
I love you.
I love you too.
Best known as the mom from Happy Days, and she is a delightful 89-year young Marion Ross to my studio. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Dr. Marissa, this is such a treat for me.
Oh.
My goodness, you're a wonderment.
Which is exactly the kind of guest that I like. Those who have gone through life, good and bad, and then taken those experiences to alchemize them into the person they are now and doing good on the planet. I'd like you to welcome Corey Feldman.
If you're grateful for it and you say right away, thank you, God. Oh, my God, it's so beautiful. I'm so blessed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then guess what? More good things will come to you.
Does this sound familiar at all? She's back again to mark my Cancer Awareness and Prevention Month show. Please welcome Fran Drescher. Hi, Fran.
On and supporting cancer schmance. I really appreciate it.
So what would you say are some of the biggest myths, Fran, that people have about cancer?
Well, I would say that they think that there's a cure for it.
Okay.
Instead of a cause for it.
This is the first call-in show when I get to be Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura. And people call in to get their life tires balanced and their critical thinking or their BS, their belief systems, smog checked. And today I am delighted to have Malie calling in from Birmingham, Alabama.
We could go 90 days and end up having terrible sex. And then you say, well, the relationship's not all about sex. Well, if I'm not getting great sex from you, then I'm going to get it from somebody else. Right?
That moose just got put on the table. And I see Josh and Jim.
I have to agree
You're
with Clyde.
both nodding. Ramon's sort of half nodding because his wife's listening. But
I understood what was going to happen if Muhammad Ali's youngest daughter, made public that I was going to become a boxer. So I wanted to make sure this was the path that I wanted to go down.
You are absolutely fabulous, beautiful inside and out. And I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award today.
Thank you.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic point.
When I go, I'm gone.
Are you lonely?
No.
Nah, I knew that was going to be
But
the answer.
I surround myself with people. I mean, I'm always the one cooking for things. Or I'm always the one that decorates first and come to my house. All the orphans that have no place.
I'm going to have no place to go, so I can come over.
Come on over.
And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Get off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on CNBC News, NBC News, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Audible, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, and more. Why so many places? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words on this show. No Kanye talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have topics and guests to that end. If you missed Fran Drescher talking about how to prevent your cancer risk, I've had cancer research doctors with some latest breaking news about the amino acids. That was earlier this year. I've had wonderful Jerry Mathers from Leave It to Beaver. I've had ET Mom. So you all across the board, I try to bring you people who you can learn something new from. And today is no exception. To celebrate my show number 999. This is my podcast. I still can't believe it. And I'm so glad the people who said a show about hope and happiness would not last, I'm glad they're wrong. But I am here this morning with a beautiful woman that I'm just meeting for the first time. I love getting to meet people on my show. There's nothing pre-interviewed because I want to keep it fresh and get to know her on the air, on camera. Her name is... Now, I hope I can say this correctly. Her name is Donelle Dadigan. How did I do it? Yay! She is the goddaughter of a very special man that we're going to be talking about today on the show, José. Now, you're going to have to help me with his last name. Iturbi?
Perfect.
No.
Yes, José Iturbi.
Wow.
Perfect.
So we're going to get to know more about her in a minute, but please welcome her to my studio. Welcome, Donelle. I'm so glad that you're here.
It's a thrill to be with you, Dr. Marissa. I have enjoyed watching your shows, and so many of my friends have been on your show. And I have to tell you, I'm thrilled to be number 999. That's a great number.
It is absolutely a great number. And I welcome to all your friends. I know I see eyeballs already that they're streaming in, and they can go ahead and use the comment section. We are live. So if you'd like to give her a question or wishes or anything like that, please do put it in the comment section and I'll put you up on the screen. Now, before we get into the topic at hand, I have this little practice in the morning where I have breakfast with my guest and invite everybody to take a bite of my gratitude sandwich. So we start with 8 specific things that we're grateful for very quickly, and then 8 things that we like about ourselves. That's the bottom of the bun. And I believe that my belief system is that the foundation to good mental health is the ability to approve, to soothe, to care for oneself. And I know as women especially, we're told not to toot your own horn, not to be too big, you're not all that. But that has led to a generation or several generations of people, especially women of color, who walk around with antenna going, who likes me? And instead of doing that, I want you to know what you're wonderful at, who you are. So that's going to be the bottom of the bun. Same thing, 8 specific things. And that's what you're going to do before you go to bed. So are you ready?
Sure.
All right. I am grateful that this is show 999. What are you grateful for? You already did that actually once, so you can do number 2.
Okay. I'm grateful to be here today. It's such a beautiful day outside. It's lovely. The sun is shining. And I have to tell you, it's such a positive way to start the day. And I've already spent time with my doggies, so it's all good.
Beautiful. What kind of dogs?
German Shepherds.
Wow. Those are so elegant, those dogs.
You know, and I have to tell you, I've made a point of rescuing dogs. And I love this West Side German Shepherd Rescue Center. It's a wonderful. And, you know, part of our goal, as you know, is to give a better life to everyone and everything we come in contact with. And it makes us feel better too. So I try every day to do that with my dogs.
Absolutely. Beautiful. I am grateful that I live in Southern California, because I'm solar powered. So it's nice.
Are you? Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. You're in Hollywood, right?
Yes.
Okay. Great. What else are you grateful for?
You know, I have to say just everything that comes into our lives. There's a reason for it, good, bad, or indifferent. And it's our goal to make it good and to make it better for everyone. Because when we do that, we make it better for ourselves too.
Absolutely. I'm grateful for Harlan. He's my favorite publicist. All of, the people that most of the people that you saw on there are thanks to Harlan. And I don't know anybody. Every time I say his name, people go, I love Harlan.
I know. I'm trying to control myself. But I have to tell you, it's so true. And, I have to say that, being with Harlan for all these years, it's amazing how we've all gotten to know each other better. And I think many of his clients, we now are friends. We go to each other's weddings. We go here, we go there, we travel. We do all sorts of things together, much more beyond what it is that our profession dictates that we should be seeing each other for publicity or for events or for openings or for new books or, new films, new television shows, and in this case, a new recording. But I tell you, it's really amazing. Harlan has that ability to bring us all together. He picks good clients to begin with.
and show hosts.
Good for you, Dr. Marissa.
We got to play together at one of our favorite clients, Doors of Change, who raises money for getting the homeless youth off the streets. And we got to party last year at Three Dog Night. So that was a lot of fun. All right, let's go to the bottom of the bun. And that is modeling for you what I'd like you to do before you go to bed. So instead of thinking about all the things you haven't gotten done or, all the things that are negative in the news, weapon of mass distraction, things, who done you wrong, I want you to replace that with what do you like about yourself? So I appreciate that I am charismatic. I'll say that. And that's something that I like to own. People used to say I was charismatic and I'd say, thank you. And then inside I'd be like, they don't really know me, but I now own my charisma.
Well, that's really very important. And I got to say, if we can do a ditto, I'd like to say I can appreciate my charisma. When we're younger, as you said, we don't know this. We just don't know this. Oh, we say thank you when someone tells us that. But the reality is that it's part of our MO. It's part of who we are. And it's part of what makes us keep on going and creating friendships along the way and building family. For me, it's all about building family. I don't know if Harlan told you, but we also have the Hollywood Museum in Hollywood. It's a showcase 10,000 great exhibits. It's in the historic Max Factor building where Max Factor made all the movie stars, gave them their looks, where Marilyn Monroe became a blonde, Lucille Ball got her red hair. And I know so many of your listeners and viewers are going to say, Marilyn Monroe was born a blonde. Yes, she was. But like many natural blondes, by the time she became a teenager, her hair turned brown. And we have a photograph of her with her first wedding at 16 years old. Can you imagine? And she married the boy next door. And, but it was in this very building, the Max Factor makeup studio where the Hollywood Museum is today, in the world famous Blondes Only Room, where Marilyn became a blonde once again. And because Max Factor asked her, "Who's your favorite movie star?" And she said, "Jean Harlow." And so he gave her Jean Harlow's hair color and updated it. And it was Max Factor who invented Jean Harlow's hair color, platinum blonde. Jean Harlow was a blonde, stayed a blonde, but he heightened her blondness. And then he gave Marilyn an updated version of it. But it's so much fun because this whole entertainment business is kind of running through our veins. And with my godfather, Jose Iturbi, it continues to run through our veins. So yes, I'm grateful for being here, for enjoying myself. As you can see, I really do have fun talking about all of this.
Absolutely. Let me make sure I got the spelling right on that. Iturbi.
Perfect.
Okay. I'm batting like 3,000 right now.
That's right.
And that is it for having breakfast with my guest, Donelle Dadigan. Today with me, I will guarantee you, if you start the next 28 days the same way with a gratitude sandwich, you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. So that's the guarantee. Thanks for joining us for breakfast. I'm going to give you a little more information about my guest today. She is the goddaughter of MGM music legend José Iturbi, along with Grammy-nominated icon Michael Feinstein, who's been on my show before, have just released From Hollywood to the World, the rediscovered recordings by pianist and conductor José Iturbi in a richly illustrated 16 CD book edition. José Iturbi was the first artist to sell 1 million records, receive one of the earliest stars on the Walk of Fame, as well as himself in multiple MGM movies, worked with Frank Sinatra, Judy Garland, Sammy Davis Jr., Gene Kelly, Esther Williams, and many others. Now, this newly released set has been submitted in the following categories for Grammy consideration: Best Historical Album, Best Album Notes, and we're just in yesterday in a third category as well. And that is who my guest is today. Please formally invite her and welcome her to my studio. Can you tell I'm into affirmation?
It's wonderful.
Beautiful. Now, wow. How did you become the goddaughter of a man? You don't look Spanish. Now, he is from Spain. So tell me how that happened.
Well, it's a very interesting story. And when I was a little girl, there was this lady who lived around the corner who my mother was very much infatuated with. My mother was a violinist and a singer. And one day, in those days, you could do such a thing. She asked the mailman who lived in this house, because she was very interested in who this woman was, because she heard the most beautiful piano music coming out of the home at all hours of the day. And would you believe the postman told her who it was? And it was José Iturbi's sister, Amparo Iturbi, who became ultimately my first piano teacher after my mother coaxed her into it. And my mother took me over there. She rang the doorbell and she said, "Hello, I'm your neighbor. I live just around the corner. I'm a violinist and a singer, and I would like for my daughter to take piano lessons." And I think Amparo Iturbi had such grace and such sensitivity. Instead of laughing at my mother to her face, she said, "Well, my youngest student is 25 years old. And most of my students actually are professionals. They're attorneys, they're CPAs, they're doctors, they're judges, they're politicians. And all these people, when they were younger, their families had them study piano lessons. And they gave it up when they went to school and when they started their profession and their professional careers. And then when they got to a certain point in their lives, they decided to revisit it once again. but they were all very stellar. I mean, there was even a critic from the Los Angeles Times for the music section. So that was quite something. And but Pro Iturbi was so sweet. She invited my mother in, and she said, "Let's have a cup of coffee and let's talk about this." It was very sweet. And so we came in, and I sat in a chair, and because I did not fidget, did not interrupt, did not look like I was bored, did not spill my glass of milk, and ate my cookie rather daintily, she began to be a little bit intrigued. And so she said, "Well, I'll make an exception. I'll give your daughter piano lessons. We'll see how it goes. We'll try it for a few months." Well, a few months became years until she passed away. But I got to meet her brother, Jose Iturbi, and it turned out she was talking about this young girl who had such grace and such talent. She didn't even know it. And she pays attention. She listens. She goes home. She practices. She studies. Jose Iturbi was very intrigued. And as a result, probably like he looked at me like a little trained puppet or a seal, whatever they said, I just did. And we developed a great relationship. And I think, as you talked about earlier, Dr. Marissa, I brought joy into Jose Iturbi's life. And of course, he lived just up the street from us. And so whenever he was in town, he was very busy concertizing, as you mentioned, he would make a point of inviting me over so I could play something for him. And it was nocturnal. So I would go over at 4:00 in the afternoon. I was like 7, 8 years old, and one thing led to another. I never knew who these men were that were there at the same time drinking, alcohol. Oh my goodness. And in those days, smoking a pipe and a cigar and a cigarette in the room, you could see the line of smoke in the room. And but they would all put their cards down, and they'd put their drinks down and their cigarettes and pipes down, and they would listen to me play 3 lines of maybe a little Rameau piece, and they'd all dutifully clap. It was so sweet. And I would make a little curtsy. And that's how I first met Frank Sinatra. He was one of the men playing cards.
Wow, how cool! How old were you then?
About 7 or 8 years old.
Wow. And I don't know, as a 7-year-old, did you know who he was? Like the extent of the, fame? I
had no idea. But I was sent to a disciplinarian school that taught very much about memory training. When I came home, my mother said to me, "Well, who did you meet today?" And so I said, "Oh, well, with Padrino, which means Godfather. There was Mr. Abramov, who was a very famous conductor, Mr. Mehta, who was famous. He was the father of Zubin Mehta. And there was this new man, and my mother said to me, "And who was that?" And I said, "Well, I think his name was Mr. Sinner." My mother said, "Oh, that's nice, not knowing who Mr. Sinner was." But after I went to bed, my mother spoke with my godmother, Jose Iturbi's companion, Marion Seabury. And these two women had such a laugh. If the windows were open between the homes, you would have heard each other laughing through airspace. They laughed so hard, they thought that was the funniest thing, that this little innocent 7, 8 years old had called Frank Sinatra Mr. Sinner.
Sinner.
But he was a wild man. He was wild and he was great. And I met Frank Sinatra again many years later. And oddly enough, he remembered that first time we met. He said, "So you're the little girl that played piano, huh?"
Wow, that is so cool. I'm trying to look for the one that Harlan sent me with tons of pictures, which were great. I used some of them in the promo. I hope you saw that on Instagram. I tagged you. But there's the one with Frank Sinatra that I really wanted to show you.
Was it the one behind the Hollywood Bowl in the green room?
This one is the one. Okay, so there's the set, and we're going to talk about this in a second. This is the restored, found, not published before, correct? Music.
Yes, from 1933 to 1955 from the RCA vaults, and it's extraordinary. And these recordings have been digitally remastered. It's as though they were just done yesterday.
Wow. I can't wait to hear them. And this is a beautiful picture. There's Judy Garland on the piano,
Yes, Miss
right?
Garland. Yes.
And then there's Mr. Sinner. And then this is that Esther? No. Is that Esther Williams? No.
Jeanette MacDonald.
Jeanette MacDonald. Okay. I'm not good with names, even with, living people. So people that are on the other side, it's hard to remember names.
Well,
for
she
me.
was
I
very
need to go
glamorous
back.
actress. Yes.
Yes.
And she had a good voice, That's what is so amazing, because I think, many of your listeners and viewers would love to know in, the 30s, 40s, 50s, when you were an actor or an actress, it wasn't solely your acting talents that brought you on the screen. You also sang, or you danced, or you played a musical instrument.
Yes, I think that is something that is, these days, if an actor or an actress or a musician crosses over, there's some, reaction, stay in your own lane, but as you were saying, in the old days, it was commonplace. You had to have a multitude of talents. You couldn't just sing. You had to sing and dance, right? Or sing and dance and act. So
well, it's very interesting. And Dr. Marissa, I think that's one of the reasons that I think everyone would be interested to hear. Why did José Iturbi cross over? And from his great piano career, because he had sold out concerts worldwide. He even flew his own plane. He had his orchestra. I mean, he was a rock star of his generation. He had Bobby Soxers clamoring the stage. They did not throw underwear at him, but they threw flowers at him, and they threw handkerchiefs at him. And but where he lived in Beverly Hills, and surrounded by different actors and entertainers and professionals, studio heads, and several of the local directors and studio heads came to him and said, we're trying to class up movies, and we'd like to give some more culture to movies. And we think you would be a good fit. Would you be interested to perform in films? And this was at MGM. And my godfather said, well, it sounds interesting, but here are my requirements. And it was that in every film, he had to play himself, José Iturbi. He had to play the piano, he had to conduct an orchestra, and most importantly, he had to be a good person. He could not play a bad character. They agreed to those, and he was in 8 MGM films. And, and what he liked about that was, it was his opportunity to bring the next generation of young people into the world of classical music. And because he felt as long as you can always interest young people in what you're doing, your art will never die. And we have a great tagline for the José Iturbi Foundation that's popularizing classical music one note at a time.
Love it. Love it. I love classical music. It just breaks my heart open when I'm listening to it. There's something about that magical, the full sound, right, of orchestra. Now I'm showing pictures. I hope you can see them. I found the email with all of the shots. There's a Wizard of Oz.
Yes, Bert Lahr. Yes, yes, yes.
That's super cool. I love too that he insisted not playing a character. I think that's great. This one is definitely my favorite picture.
Nice.
Judy Garland.
Yes, yes.
Piano.
And I have to tell you that at the museum, the Hollywood Museum, we just honored Judy's youngest daughter, Lorna Luft, with a Legacy Award. So, what goes around comes around. So much fun.
Yeah.
They say 6 degrees of separation, but in Hollywood, it's only 2 degrees.
Hooray for Hollywood.
By the way, I have to share with you. I just want to share with you real fast.
Yes, please.
We're off the topic of José Iturbi. But you know that in Hooray for Hollywood, the lyrics also include, and go visit Max Factor. He can even make a monkey look good. And our museum is in the historic Max Factor building, where he made everybody look good.
Interesting. Now, I have not gotten an invitation yet to the museum, and
Yeah, we'll make sure.
that's not true. That's not true. I have been invited years ago, and you were doing something, and I know there was a conflict in my schedule. So I'm going to take that old invitation and definitely upgrade it and come and visit, because I think it
Please
would be
do. Please do. And
fascinating.
I'd love to give you a tour personally. You would get such a kick out of it. In fact, we even have Jose Iturbi's piano, the piano that he played on last. He had 11 pianos. So it was the last one that he played on. It was the one that I had my piano lessons on. And it's on display with his desk and his recording equipment and so many photographs from his movies, as well as his tuxedos that he wore, his batons that he conducted the orchestras with. So much fun, and the history behind it and the stories are fabulous.
I would love that. Love, love, love that. I'm actually going to cover the Independent Music Awards tomorrow, so I'll be up there. Maybe you'll be there, and I can meet you up there tomorrow. No time like
Fabulous.
that. Yeah. we'll talk after, but this is wonderful. If you've just tuned in and you're wondering who's in my studio today, her name is Donelle Dadigan, and she is the goddaughter of José Iturbi, and she found and remastered and put a collection together of his music. He was the first musical artist to sell 1 million records, and also became an actor, getting to work with greats, himself included, Frank Sinatra, Judy Garland, and we're hearing the story firsthand from the goddaughter, not the godfather, the goddaughter of Jose. She's also the president of Hollywood Museum. And thank you. I see eyeballs continuing to roll in. Thank you for tuning in to take my advice. I'm not using a Kip Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind, home to the Asian Oprah, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. All right, now tell me about Jose's life as you know it. Was he an immigrant from Spain?
You know, yes, he was. In 1928, he arrived in Los Angeles half a minute before, I should say, in the United States. He arrived in the United States half a minute before the Depression. He was sponsored by Nestle, and he started to give concerts on the East Coast. He was from very humble beginnings. As a child, every member of the family worked. The father had several jobs. His nighttime job was tuning pianos. And in fact, little Jose, he had a proclivity to play piano, and everyone knew this from very early on. He used to play piano in the silent movie theaters till all hours of the night when there were no such thing as child labor laws. And his father would come and bring him his dinner, and it was in a little metal pail with a cloth cover on it that he would use as a napkin. And between moments, he was able to take a bite of a sandwich or a vegetable, something, because in those days, you'd buy for 1 peseta, you would buy, or 25 cents, let's say, you would buy a ticket to go see a movie, but that would allow you to be there for a very long time, hours and hours and hours and hours. And so that's what he did every night, and that's how he started to learn to be nocturnal.
Interesting.
And then from there, he went to the he was at the Valencia Music Conservatory, and then he received a scholarship to go to the Paris Music Conservatory, and that scholarship only covered his transportation from Valencia, Spain, to Paris. He was enrolled in the school, but now he had no money for room and board, so he quickly took a job in a cafe. And he played piano in a cafe, and the owner of the cafe felt sorry for this young boy. He was in his very early teens, and he said, I have a room in the back. It's really the broom closet, but you can have all the food you can eat, and you can sleep there. And he did. So by the time he came to the United States, he was actually already teaching at the Geneva Music Conservatory, which he thought he had landed and gone to heaven. It was the first time he had stability in his life.
How old was he at this point?
He was in his late 20s,
Okay.
Early 30s. And, he really was very accomplished. He had quite a career already in Europe. He was very excited to come when school was out at the conservatory. And he realized, oh my goodness, I have another world to conquer, the United States. There's so much more than just Europe. So when he came, he was like so excited, and he couldn't believe what he was seeing. And he decided, I love this world. What is this all about? And they brought him to Los Angeles through Nestle, a sponsor. And he enjoyed meeting all these great people, all these movie stars. Oh my goodness. He couldn't believe it. Years before, decades before, he was playing piano in a darkened theater to a silent movie house. And here he was now sitting down and having dinner with movie stars, of the 20s and early 30s. He just couldn't believe such a thing had happened to him. So he got bit by that world of entertainment, and he remained. And as they say, the rest is history. He had so many million copy records being sold. In fact, that's why he was commemorated with a star on the Walk of Fame.
That is an interesting, because Hollywood actors, first and foremost, is what I think of when I think of the stars. But that he had a star and he was a conductor, pianist, then actor, was really an interesting thing to read about and to see. Now, there's a couple of people I don't recognize. Tell me who that is.
Well, that is Bert Lahr.
Okay.
And he is just there talking about his makeup and everything, which is kind of fun. That's José Iturbi on the left, his sister Amparo Iturbi on the right. And I'm not sure who the person is behind, but we can find out. I can look at my photos and see. But, these are behind the scene photos. Oh, that's Jimmy Durante and Bing Crosby. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and that is Rudy Valley with the kind of bow tie kind of thing going on.
Rudy Valley. Wow. That is so cool. Yeah,
that was from the movie Music for Millions. He did so many great movies,
This is another movie. This is a famous one, right?
Yes, this was so sweet. Yes.
What was the name of that movie?
I'm looking. Well, it's either Midnight Kiss or Anchors Aweigh. I can't tell. And it may be Anchors Aweigh. I'm not sure. It's
she looks
small
familiar
on my screen. Yes. Yes. So that would have been Jeanette MacDonald or Jeannie.
And then this one is also, I don't know if I can make this bigger. Oh, I can. Oh my goodness. I love technology. Can you see this one?
Yes. And so this is let's see, this is Three Daring Daughters. And would you believe, José Iturbi's at the piano, but the next person, would you believe that's Roddy McDowell?
This one?
Yes.
Wow. He looks familiar too, the last one.
Oh, yes, that's Xavier Cugat.
Wow.
And next to him is Janie Powell. And my memory is leaving me just this very moment.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
The other two, yes.
Let's see. There was one more I think that I didn't recognize. Oh, this was cute though.
Isn't that adorable? That's Leo the Lion from MGM.
Oh, really? That
Yes.
is Leo the Lion.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Let's open this up. Now, that was a real lion?
Well, would you believe it? In those days, they did the wildest of things. I have a friend of mine, Darby Hinton, who played Isaiah in the original Daniel Boone. And I tell you, they used to have him stand next to a live bear. And they would play together. He would swat the bear on the head, and the bear would imitate to swat him back. Of course, the bear was trained, but nonetheless, it was a live bear. They didn't have rules and regulations in those days like they have now.
So that is a real lion.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. On the piano doing a roar. Yee. Scary. Oh my goodness. And I'm a Leo, by the way, in 5 planets. So I'm still celebrating my birthday. It was last Thursday, but the whole month of August is mine. So just so you know.
Lovely, lovely. My whole family are Leos.
Okay. So you know. Let's see. This one is this you playing the piano?
No, that's young Margaret O'Brien.
Oh, I just called you
Isn't
Margaret
that
O'Brien.
adorable? And that's Jimmy Durante. And the other two ladies, oh my goodness. One is June Allison, and the other, I can't think right now.
That's okay. The fact that you even know as many as you do is pretty impressive.
Well, I have to share with you, as you were talking about before, this is a fabulous 16 CD compilation set. It's a collector's edition. And, Michael Feinstein is such a wordsmith. He penned a beautiful, beautiful just text about my godfather. I mean, it was just phenomenal. I had I was just so thrilled when I read it. And all the photographs come from the José Iturbi Foundation archives. So with Sony Classical, it's really been quite a journey, all of us together, to create this.
Wow.
It's a wonderful set. I have to say it's a collector's set, and it's the best of the very best.
How did you find them?
Well, it's an interesting thing because they came from the RCA vaults. And my godfather loved to record. And in fact, he had his own recording studio in his home because his goal was not to sound like he was on a concert hall and you were listening. He wanted people to think that he was in their living room playing right next to them, that they could just listen to him one-on-one. And so he had this very special sound that he had created. And so it was a lot of fun for us to now digitally remaster them so that gone were the clicks and the pops and the scratches. And the sound was so clear and beautiful now today that we've been able to create. And it sounds like just someone is playing piano right next to you, sitting in your own living room at your own piano.
Wow. Now, is there a clip? I forgot to ask Carlin, that maybe on YouTube or somewhere where I could play a little bit of his music, or is it all copyright protected?
No, you can play this on YouTube. You can then go for it. It'll be so much fun.
Okay.
Maybe the Revolutionary Etude. There's one Chopin Revolutionary Etude with his sister, and that's a lot of fun to see the two of them together.
Say the title again for me.
Chopin, Chopin, Revolutionary Etude.
Revolutionary Etude. I also play the piano, so we have that in common. I'm a retired lounge lizard. Okay, let's see. This is Well, as much as I want to listen to this for the rest, for the rest of the show, we do. I want to. I just wanted to experience it, and man, what a piano player!
I have to say, and you're listening to an original old recording from the 40s, so it has been completely redigitized, and the sound and the quality of the intonations are so completely different. It truly is like someone sitting right next to you and playing. Very, very different. But my godfather, I have to share with you, Dr. Marissa, was really kind of like a Renaissance man. He rode his own motorcycle. He had a sidecar. He flew his own planes. He loved to race cars. And he had something else. He loved to box. And people were just amazed. You want to box and you have your hands. You have to protect your hands. But it wasn't about the sport of boxing to make the contact. He liked to box with a boxing bag because he felt if he could keep himself in shape, especially his upper torso, he would have enough strength to play these songs. Chopin's Revolutionary Etude, all the fabulous Spanish music. He knew all these great composers that were contemporaries of his. To be able to bring that to life and then conduct complete concerts and then perform as a soloist in those concerts with the piano concerto that he conducted the orchestra at the same time. It took strength. He had to have tremendous stamina, and he received that by privately practicing boxing so that he could continue to jump around, sort of kind of in place, but moving his shoulders and his arms and extending them and keeping his upper torso straight and not falling over and making sure he wasn't bending or giving out, like, oh my God, I'm so tired, I can't continue. He really was a great athlete underneath it all.
It's kind of surprising, though, for boxing, you would think that might hurt his hands.
Well, that's it, that's what I'm saying. It's so unique. You've just really hit on it. It wasn't that he boxed with anyone else, and he wasn't worried about getting hit unless the boxing bag would come back and hit him in the face. But he was really quite athletic when it came to that, and I guess he must have had his hands wrapped so well, and and in those thick gloves. But that's another story too. He had tremendous technique. Technical prowess beyond belief. I mean, he was not one to miss a note. Not just that he didn't play wrong notes, but he didn't miss a note. All of his sounds were very even. That's why it made it so easy for us to digitally remaster his original recordings. It was kind of fun to do it. It was really like going on a journey to make it happen.
How long did it take you?
Several years, about 2.5 years.
Wow.
But it's a passion for me. It was a great love for Michael Feinstein, and we both thank Sony Classical Music. Really, it was a group effort, and I am so proud of what took place, and I'm so proud with the final result. Oh my goodness.
Well, I wish you so much luck. I want to hear that you won the Grammy, and that for at least one category, if not all three. That is a beautiful thing. If you've just tuned in, we're almost done the show, but you can go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe, and get this interview. I've had and have Donelle Dadigan in my studio live today talking about her godfather, not the Italian mafia kind, but the musical gifted José Iturbi, who was one of the first musicians, I will want to say, having a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She's also the president of the Hollywood Museum that you're going to have to go and visit. I'm going to try to go there tomorrow and see the collection of fascinating. I think that we forget the richness of this this beautiful field, or we right now, obviously with the writer's strike and the SAG-AFTRA also following. What's your views on that, by the way, since you are so connected in there about what's going on?
Well, I'm really not qualified to make a comment, but I will tell you, we really wish the best for everyone. These actors have given their lives, and it's not just a job; it's their passion, it's their reason for being. And the studios, I understand, they have their requirements too. I'm not a studio person, but we have so many entertainers and actors that are part of the Hollywood Museum family that we really just wish the best for them. And I wish this would come to a speedy, and that everyone is happy. Everyone can't be 100% happy, but that they're relatively happy. And that's how deals are made. And we love
88%.
everyone, we want to see it happen.
Yeah. That's why I always say 88% happy. 100%.
That's very good.
100% happy you're dead. So I don't want dead people walking or talking. 88%. Eight's actually a lucky number in Chinese. I know you thought I was Swedish, but 8 is a homophone for good fortune. So 88% is double good fortune. And so, yes, I absolutely hope that it gets resolved quickly. The only silver lining that I will point out from this strike is I don't think people recognize the value or the importance of writing. I mean, if you think of Hollywood and stars, right? You think of the actor or actress. You don't necessarily think about all the work that gets put in with the writers. And I think that's a great silver lining. But we've got the silver lining now. Please come to a resolution.
I think you made a very good point. Very good point.
Yeah, so that's the good thing. So how can people get this now? Can they actually buy it? Is it being sold? Is it being released? Tell me about that.
Yes, you can buy it. It's at Barnes and Noble, on Amazon, and many online dealers. I want to say record stores, but gee, that sounds so old-fashioned. But we're really thrilled about it. And we will be putting it up on the José Iturbi Foundation website, www.joseiturbfoundation.com. And it will be for sale. We should have that up in the next day or so be patient. And it truly is the definitive collection of Hollywood with classical music.
Great. Now, the foundation raises money for...
Well, it's an interesting thing because my godfather always loved to listen to young talent and try to steer them along the way. And so I can think of so many great musicians that came to play for him. And for us, it's about finding talent, making young people. We have competitions. They strive to win. And once they win, we present them in concert. We do blockbuster concerts with great musicians, whether it's Dudamel and the Los Angeles Philharmonic, overseas in Europe. And what we do is we also provide concert tickets for young people at no cost. And it allows them to come to their first classical music concert, maybe with their teachers or with a group. And they learn to experience it. Of course, there's so many other little perks that go with it. The preparation in advance that we provide through different schools for the concert, as well as, the travel to there. And of course, the snacks and the food and the drink, because that's what makes it all so much better for young people. And it's an exciting moment. And they get to have chaperones, not only their teachers, but their parents. And we also sponsor several great orchestras, the Los Angeles Virtuosi Orchestra that is conducted by Carlo Ponti Jr. And you're going to say, Dr. Marissa, that name sounds familiar. Well, in Hollywood, it's only 2 degrees of separation. Carlo Ponti Jr.'s family, the mother was Sophia Loren, the father was Carlo Ponti. And so he's a great conductor, and we support his orchestra, and he brings on young talent and gives them their first opportunities. And additionally, in Los Angeles, besides the Los Angeles Philharmonic, we have the Santa Cecilia Orchestra, which is in our neighborhood here in Los Angeles. And the daughter of the founder is now the second conductor. And, it's kind of fun because we have this opportunity to share sometimes with 2 and 3 and 4 generations of the same family, for them to attend a concert together free of charge, but to enjoy that opportunity, because the great grandparents and the grandparents all know about this classical music, but it's new for the children and sometimes even for their parents. But it's a bonding experience, and it helps bring that enjoyment together. And how did it happen? Through classical music. Popularize classical music one note at a time.
That's a great tagline. Definitely.
My
And
cousin came up with it. Isn't that wild?
who came up with that?
My cousin Russ came up with it.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm just reading over some of the interesting things. Now, he was married, and his wife died tragically after 12 years.
Yes. My godfather had a very, very sad personal life. His wife committed suicide, very sad. And he came, to the United States, and one thing led to another. He had an adorable daughter. She grew up to be a beautiful young woman. She married a gentleman who was a violinist, who was a discovery of José Iturbi. And they had a lovely life together. They had 2 children, 2 daughters. And sadly, it ended in divorce when the daughters were very young. And sadly, she committed suicide together. There may have been, it was before people knew anything about this. Maybe there was some type of an imbalance or biological, I don't know. But very difficult, very sad. So, as very typical in Hollywood, as people are smiling, laughing on the outside, they have very difficult, tragic personal lives. And they work very hard to try to not pass that on to others.
Yes.
Try to make up for it.
Yeah, the link between high sensitivity, high creativity, and then high emotional instability has always been sort of, I'm a psychologist, not a clinical psychologist, but I had to do a lot of that. So I've always been fascinated by that link. Unfortunately, that link usually leads to something tragic. But the good news is, with our recent highlighting and more, it being okay to talk about mental illness, and everybody's just like, a lot of people are, you know what? I actually have some mental illness myself, or I'm not always in. That's a good thing. We're starting to be more open, less taboo, less shame around all of that. I want to thank, somebody just gave us the finger, not that finger, but this finger. Something that was said in the last couple minutes, but thank you. We are almost out of time. I just want to thank you so much for coming to studio and sharing your Godfather with us, sharing the music. And I just love learning new things. So thank you for satisfying my addiction, for learning new things today. This is Dr. Marissa. Thank you, Donelle, for coming in. I'm going to give you one last bit of affirmation. And I want everybody to tune in tomorrow. It is show number 1,000 to celebrate. I'm giving $1,000 of happy products away tomorrow, from my book, 8 Ways to Happiness, to my Mommy What Are Feelings books, to the companion guide, all of that, $1,000 giveaway for Asian Oprah giveaway. That's tomorrow on Take My Advice. I'm Not Using a Gift Balance with Dr. Marissa. It's all about balance. Donelle, if you would stick up your fingers here, peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. See you tomorrow.